So I hope everything's fine. Yeah. So today's session is based on integrating the knowledge or the background which you developed in the previous session. And we are also going to know certain new dimensions about China. The heading may seem like Chinese Communist Party, as Chinese Communist Party is the leading party. When I'm saying leading party, it means there are other parties as well in China. Many people have this, understanding or misconception that China is a one party system, but that's not true. So to know about Chinese party system, we should know about the whole political system. So this is going to be the lecture flow. First, I'm going to show a particular question. I'm going to tell you about the scope of that question, from which part of the syllabus that question belongs to. Then we are going to understand Chinese political party system, then Chinese electoral system. Okay. First of all, the question is, write a short note on China's political party system. 15 marks. So it's a direct question, short note. Okay. So we have not actually started yet about this political party system. So just give you at least 30 seconds and just check what do you know as of now about this China's political party system. What arguments and what facts do you know? So there should be two components reflected in your answer. First, you should know the structure of Chinese political party system. You should also know the reasoning behind that. Means there must be some reasoning. That's why China is having this kind of political party system, right? Because it is quite clear that political party system of a nation resembles the nature of society, the challenges in that society, the diversity of society. All of these challenges, some specific features of that society is reflected in its party system, right? And there's a history also, right? So it means there must be some reasoning behind the present structure of Chinese party system. You should also know, means you should also quote, I would say quote some scholars. What's their opinion on Chinese political party system? And when you quote, you should keep in mind that you should not just focus on the static part of this particular phrase. Means we should also focus on transition which is being observed in Chinese political party system, right? Then only you can build a good answer. Okay. So I hope as of now you have reviewed yourself, how much you know as of now about this particular question, right? This question belongs to paper 2, section A, political parties and representation. Means we are talking about comparative politics, a portion which is taken lightly, many times by aspirants, because major focus in PSIR optional is given on this Western political thought, thinkers, ideologies, right? But to score well, to break that mark of 300, you need to balance your preparation. So that's the scope. Now, let's first understand how is China's political party system designed. So in the previous session, we talked about two political parties. Our core focus was on Chinese Communist Party, CCP. But we also mentioned in that story about CNP, Chinese Nationalist Party, Kuomintang, which was thrown out from the mainland China, and that's how China actually renamed, or you can say transition of China from ROC, Republic of China, to PROC, People Republic of China. So it is quite clear that yes, in China, there is no just one party. Okay, there are 8 other parties along with Chinese Communist Party. And in this particular domain of your syllabus, when you talk about comparative politics, the word itself resembles that you should compare different political systems. When you understand the basic idea of that section, then it gets clear that this comparison cannot be considered on some particular yardsticks. For example, in physical sciences, I'm talking about say physics, chemistry, if you have to compare two objects, you can directly compare because there are some objective changes, means the purpose of mouse is different from the purpose of this remote, right? There are some physical changes, right? So it means utility based changes. But when it comes to comparing the political system of two nations, you cannot say that if China is not having multi-party system like India, then China is not a democracy. Although that's a popular sentiment and popular idea, and people like popular ideas. But since you're a student of political science optional, you should keep in mind that with diversity, invention of political system actually differs. Means with diversity, the different challenges, we see different kind of political systems. So China calls itself a democracy. China says that we accept this idea of democracy, which says that democracy is based on consultation. Democracy is based on keeping together diverse ideas, perspectives, and on the basis giving space to these diverse ideas and then using these diverse ideas to shape the policy of that nation. This is an essential feature, one of the essential features of a democracy, and China says that we have that feature. And if you ask how, China says, look, take a look over our NPC, National People Congress. It's the highest body, or you can say highest legislature of China. Means there are other legislatures as well. People's Congress, we are going to talk about them within this particular subtopic. But the point here is, China says in our legislature, there's participation of other parties as well. And China says that it is not just about legislature. We have a separate consultative arrangement other than this legislative body where CCP engage in discussions with these 8 other parties. Means we take their opinions. China says that China is also having diversity. It is not like if India is having diversity and our constitution has certain provisions which give special preference, or you can say some special kind of rules in a particular area. Similar kind of setup can be observed in Chinese constitution as well. For example, in Indian constitution, you know that special rules are there when it comes to scheduled areas, right? We have Article 371, within that we have subsections. Why our constitutional framers made those rules? Considering the diversity, considering the basic idea that you need to give certain kind of autonomy to these areas, then only you can actually mainstream them or bring stability in this political system. Similarly, China also gives autonomy to some areas. And interest of these areas are communicated by other parties as well. Okay, so as of now, I'm talking about the structure, the design of China's political system. In the later part, I'm going to comment on this structure as well. Okay, as of now, we are talking about the structure, means goody. Okay, this is what good things about the structure. There are comments which say that that's a structure, but that's not actually followed. And what are the loophole? We are going to talk about that. As of now, you got this. Just take a look on the representation of different parties within this NPC. Total seats in NPC, means highest legislative body of China, is 2980. Just compare with India. India Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, Lok Sabha 543, right? And in China 2980. But you should also keep in mind the size of China, right? So the red area actually represents Chinese Communist Party of China, okay? And these other seats resemble the other parties, okay? So it's not like the whole legislature is red. Lal salam nahi hai har jagah, okay? There are diverse opinions as well. But the interesting fact is, Chinese constitution itself make this clear that all of these parties, representative groups, have to work under the umbrella of CCP. Means this is an essential feature of Chinese political system, that all the parties have to actually work under the umbrella of CCP. So it means when consultation is being done, so this consultation or the outcome of this consultation would be accepted or not, it all belongs to, it is the prerogative of CCP, right? And this is one point where contention, or you can say counter arguments, actually prevail. What kind of democracy is it? But the point is, yes, scope is given. Sometimes it is possible that for a particular area, CCP may not be having that kind of ideas which are given by other parties. At that time, CCP also accept those ideas. Okay. So China says that China has a multi-party cooperation system. Please give due attention to this word, multi-party cooperation system. It is different from multi-party system which we observe in Western countries, in India also. We have a multi-party system, but it is multi-party cooperation system. Why? I've told you that all of these parties have to work in cooperation with CCP. Okay, that's a unique model. You cannot compare. Since we are discussing this, I'm asking this question, that you must have read about George's law, how he compares two-party system, multi-party system with kind of electoral system that country has. So how many of you have read about George's law? Come on. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. We are going to connect each and everything with the syllabus, with the answer. That's the purpose of this session. This is not the discussion or the background. Okay. Some of you have read, right? Those who have not read, just put it in a star point. In my class, when I say star point, it means that you have to, search it, just, turn your notes and give it a read. Okay. Just when I say star point, that is actually different from the core topic, but I feel that is important and can be, connected with other kind of questions or themes which are asked. Okay. So for your quick reference, the word just said, okay, the word just said, so when you are going to have a majoritarian electoral system, it means like we have in India, first past the post, right? That is a one component of majoritarian electoral system. Then you will end up having two parties. When you are going to have representational, then you will have multi-party. But India is also an exception to this law, and China is exception of exception. Okay. Now, I told you that apart from this NPC, China also have Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. They are conducted regularly And the purpose is that members of other parties can actually put forth their core ideas on specific policies and also the vision which is projected by the current government. So this is one reason which is actually given that China is having deliberation as a component of their democracy. Okay, I told you, don't compare China as it is with Western nations. It's not multi-party system, it's multi-party cooperation system because it is different. Okay, it is not a one-party system. Okay, one party is the leader, but other parties are in cooperation as well. And these other parties also represent many areas. Okay, so I hope it is quite clear as of now that China has CPC and eight other parties. So these are the 8 other parties. It's not necessary that you should remember them all, but you should actually know. Okay, Revolutionary Committee of the Chinese Kuomintang. And in the previous session, we were talking about Kuomintang, right? China's Democratic League, China's National Democratic Construction Association, China's Association for Promoting Democracy, Chinese Peasants and Workers Democratic Party, China Qigongdang Science Society, and Taiwan Democratic and Self-Government League. When you read articles on Taiwan, and the recent, few months back, when Indian official spokesperson of India's External Affairs Ministry, they specifically actually made comment where we recognize Taiwan. So we actually recognize Taiwan as a separate nation, which China is opposed of, because China considered Taiwan as part of PROC, People Republic of China. So at that time also in many articles this particular party was in news. Okay, so apart from this particular topic, as a student of PSIR optional and interested in comparative politics, you should search about Taiwan. Parties who actually support nationalist ideas specifically for Taiwan, and parties within China's mainland, means we are talking about NPC, who actually concur with the present setup. And in the lieu of reforms, they talk about integration of Taiwan to the PROC. Okay, that is additional to this particular topic. So democratic parties of China are different from the ruling party and opposition party. Why I'm saying that specifically? We will take a look over Indian political system. When you check the representation of parties in Lok Sabha, you will find, yeah, BJP is in the majority. That's why BJP has this government, right? And you see representation of Congress and other parties. So what clicks into your mind instantly? Oh, these parties are not a part of government. Oh, these parties represent opposition. But there is no such case when it comes to China. So they don't categorize the representation of parties in their NPC as ruling party or opposition party. According to them, all the parties are part of ruling regime. Okay, they are under the leadership of Communist Party and devote themselves to the socialist construction, the objective which is mentioned in their constitution. Now coming to the Chinese constitution, take a look what Chinese constitution says. China is a socialist state, and the word is alliance, means under the people's democratic dictatorship led by working class. Those who have read Marx, they may equate this what Marx was saying about dictatorship of proletariat. Although we know that Chinese political system resembles Marxist Leninist ideas. Please keep this in mind. Why I am saying it resembles the both? Because it talks about a state in this revolution, communist revolution, which was actually suggested by Marx. Proletariat, dictatorship of proletariat will come after the spontaneous revolution. But why I'm saying it does not just resemble Marxist, it also resembles Leninist, because it was Lenin who said that Communist Party is necessary to bring the revolution, because workers themselves are not going to build the necessary consciousness of class, right? So it means this Communist Party of China and the constitution and the political system of China itself resemble Marxist Leninist idea. It talks about an alliance based on workers and peasants. Workers and peasants in alliance are going to work to make China a socialist state. That is what Chinese constitution is saying. So now we can say that we can conclude this point, that fundamental framework of China's political system can have these 4 points. One, the system of People's Congress. So what is People's Congress? If I ask, do citizens of China vote in the election of president? That's a question from you. So this is the point where you answer in comments. Means Xi Jinping was elected by a direct election, or there is some other mechanism to that? The answer is there is a separate mechanism. What that mechanism is, I'm going to explain you. Number one, China's political party, this CCP, is having a pyramid-like structure. At the base of pyramid, there are some cells. Above them, so basically, why I'm saying pyramid? Because these cells are the one which actually connect with people. They are the one which are responsible to understand the interest or ideas of the people and communicate this to the top leadership. It is said that Chinese political system resemble democratic centralism. So why it is said so, I'm going to explain. Democratic centralism. I've given you example of Chinese Communist Party, but I told you that there are other parties as well. So Chinese political system is also divided into some People's Congress. For example, at the level of villages, towns, counties, districts, provinces, nation, there are People's Congress. And people have right to vote in what? People's Congress, which are at the lowest level. It means if someone is a citizen of China and having age more than 18 years, it means that person is entitled to vote and get elected. Don't you think this is similar with the concept in Indian political system, right? So this person can vote, but this person can vote only in the lowest level of People's Congress. Okay, for example, if that person is living in urban area and within urban area, that person belongs to a particular town, so that person is going to vote in that particular town, or a county in a particular county. Person is in village in particular village. Now, those people who got elected directly into these People Congress, now these people are going to vote for the members whom China's political system says deputies of other People's Congress. It means if we talk about state legislature, means provincial legislature, take example of India. In India, when it comes to state legislature, means I'm talking about MLA election. So you people can vote above 18 years of age, citizen of India, right? Entitled to vote, not debarred from any other law, right? So you can vote. So we are directly electing MLAs. But when it comes to China, members of the lower People Congress, they actually elect the members of Provincial People Congress. Now, members of Provincial People Congress, they actually elect the member of National People Congress, right? So it means the framework of Chinese political system is based on the system of people congress. Next is it is multi-party cooperation system, not multi-party system. I've already explained it to you. Regional ethnic autonomy. I told you that China also have multiple ethnicity, and considering the challenges and diverse ideas which they may have for their development, so required autonomy is given to these areas, right? Self-government at the primary level of society. Why it is said so? I told you about People's Congress, that election. So it is similar to India's idea of democratic decentralization, which we saw in 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. When we talk about specifically about Gram Panchayat, in Gram Panchayat we talk about Gram Sabha, and all of you know that Gram Sabha represents self-governance because they have some power to decide what amount should be spent on which particular demand which they have for their particular area, right? Because Gram Sabha in Indian political system, it represents element of direct democracy, people coming together and telling this should be the priority of development. Similar kind of setup is available in Chinese political system. Okay, so we can say all of these four, they actually embodiment of socialist democracy. Okay, now I was telling you all of this, and I told you what is democratic centralism. We need to know. So the word democratic centralism is used because when it comes to this party system, take example of this Chinese Communist Party. Although these people, member of these cells, means one is political party system, one is party. So now I am talking about Chinese Communist Party, which is the dominant party. So members of these cells, they take views of people, and then these views are communicated to the top leadership. Now this top leadership actually turn these views into workable models, and now this workable model has to be followed by everyone. The word democratic is used because ideas were fetched from the ground. Centralism word is used because once the decision is taken by the top leadership, now this decision is to be implemented everywhere at every level. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. Now take a look over the views of QD Blanket. So what he says? He says that many people think the structure of Chinese political system is totalitarian in nature. Because from the time of Mao, we are seeing that it is Chinese Communist Party, CCP, which is leading the nation, right? And we also know certain policies of Chinese Communist Party which are subjugating the basic rights which are available in other nations, right? But those are subjugated in China from many decades, and many news actually don't come out considering the nature of control which Chinese Communist Party have on the affairs of their country, right? But here QD Blanket make a counterpoint. He says that the word totalitarian, it actually don't justify the nature of Chinese political system, because the element of deliberation consultation is given. So what has made the regime, the rule totalitarian, is the ruler. So it means it is Xi Jinping. So Xi Jinping is certainly aspires to that end. And what is that end? That capability of the CCP should be, turned to the level of being a totalitarian regime, working in this way. Okay. So he says that he is kind of working as for the famous quote by Mao Zedong. So Mao once said, party, government, military, civilian, academic, east, west, north, south, center, the party leads everything. So that is Mao's idea of Chinese political system, that it is party, means Chinese Communist Party, CCP is leading everywhere, right? That is the idea. And Jude is saying that it is like she is following on the footsteps. So he says that the CCP-centric conception of Chinese modernity, because what Xi Jinping is saying, Xi Jinping is selling the idea of rise of China, China becoming a major geopolitical power, right? So he says that the kind of working of Chinese political system, which is CCP-centric, it actually does not give due scope to other sections to become part of Chinese growth story. Because what is going to be Chinese growth story? The title, description, everything is going to be set only by Chinese Communist Party. So this is the argument of Jude you can use in your answer. Okay. So as of now, we have covered a question. What was scope? So that's what we discussed. Then we discussed China's political party system. Now coming to the electoral system. Okay. Some of the points you have already got in the discussion we just had. So China is a democracy as per China, right? Here's the pic of Mao Zedong casting his vote. So if Mao is in the senior leadership, member of NPC, then in which category of election he is voting? Come on, what's your take? If I ask who is going to decide the president, head of the state, it is NPC is going to decide. National People's Congress is going to decide, the highest body, right? So there is this Mao Zedong voting. So what is qualified to participate in the election? I've already told you, you should be citizen of India, above 18 years of age. If you fall in this category, then you are going to get this entitlement to vote. But it should not be like this, that you are debarred from voting or becoming an elector by any other law. Don't you think this is similar to the provision which India also have? In our Citizenship Act, we also talks about certain provisions. If they are implemented, if they are imposed, then you may be, debarred, terminated from your citizenship, right? Renunciation, termination, deprivation, RTD. I hope you remember that. There are 3 criteria, right? Similarly, China also have. So we can say that in China, the this electoral system is based on hierarchical electoral system. So why I'm saying hierarchy? I told you that these people Congress are also divided into several hierarchies. And how many hierarchies? There are 5. Okay. So it is not that people, if someone is a common citizen, then this person cannot vote directly into NPC election. This person is entitled to vote in this People Congress. It may be county level People Congress. So people elect members. To these members, the word uses deputy. So don't compare the word deputy, how we use in our legislature, and don't compare it with China. Okay, they call that we are electing deputies there. Then members of this actually elect members of this People Congress, then member of this, then member of this, and finally this. So it means indirect election is taking on these stages, and direct election is taking on lowest stage, right? So how many levels are there? I told you there are 5 levels. Okay. So these are the 5 levels: NPC, then People Congress at the level of provinces. Provinces, like you can compare with Indian states, right? Then we have at municipal level, we have People Congress. We have People Congress at counties, districts. I've already told you. Then we have townships, towns. Okay. And similar to that, we also have at the level of village, they combine and make that a block. So this was the discussion on Chinese political system and electoral system. I hope this has added some value in your preparation, right? You got some dimensions clear. So the content which we discussed is going to be molded in the answer which you are going to give. Okay, and this PPT is going to be uploaded in Edukemy PSIR optional Telegram channel. See you in the next session. Next session is going to be live question and answer, Q&A. So you can ask any question from this particular topic, and I would be happy to resolve all your queries with regard to this particular subsection. See you tomorrow, day after tomorrow.